The days are numbered for the troubled migrant shelter on Randall's Island.
That's right. At its peak, the shelter was home to more than 3,000 asylum seekers. So joining us this morning to explain what led to the final decision to close the shelter and really update the migrant situation here in the city is Immigration Commissioner Manny Castro. He is joined by Hussein Yadaberry of the Muslim Community Network, which is one of the organizations working with the city on what the next phase will look like in this chapter. So good morning to both of you. Great to have you here. Commissioner Castro, let me begin with you here first and foremost, right? And when you look at it, Randall's Island there was so much conflict with that specific facility, right? People didn't want it in their neighborhood. They wanted the fields back. So yes, the population's coming down. How many are there right now, and what does the decompression strategy look like?
We have about 2,200 asylum seekers still at Rondos Highland, down from 3,000, as you mentioned. This is from a total of 60,000, about 60,000 migrants in our system. But the truth is that because we have breathing room, because numbers have decreased, it allows us to make these kinds of decisions and return these fields back to New Yorkers who've been seeking to have this field back for their recreational purposes.
Yeah, are they mostly families? Are they single men that are there right now?
This is an adult facility, so you have adults mostly, and you know this is why you saw some of the issues. It's not ideal to have 3,000 adults in a congregate setting, and so now we'll be able to move them to other shelters or help them move out of the system altogether. About 70% of the asylum seekers in our care do decide to move on and integrate into communities, which is a good sign. And with less numbers coming in, we can do this for the remaining people there.
Right. So those who are coming out just get placed into other facilities around the city. The big issue, Hussein, has been resources, right? And getting those folks who come in the resources they need to get out of the system pretty quickly and then get on their feet somewhere, right? So how do you kind of come into the picture then to provide those resources for some who are looking for it?
Yeah, so at MCN, our goal is to make sure we create sustainable programming for our New Yorkers. So we're looking at English language programming along with Moya with their We Speak curriculum in order to make sure people are more English proficient. My parents were immigrants themselves from the Gambia, so that was a hard barrier to breach. So making sure we are making sure all of our asylum seekers are able to speak the English language. We're able to integrate them with case management services, with our case management coordinators, and just make sure they get integrated with community. I think people are coming from all of these different countries. We specifically work with as African migrants, but finding their community in New York sometimes is very difficult, and making sure that people are connected with their communities that are throughout all 5 boroughs.
Yeah, it's hard though for a lot of those folks to find trust in the system, right? And know that we found, like we were just talking about, that some of them were staying in illegally in some instances. How are you encouraging them to seek a safe and proper place for shelter?
Yeah, I think it's through conversation. I think when we talk about integration, it's that finding that community piece, but finding opportunity. So making sure that we're able to get legal assistance through referrals for these asylum seekers so that they have opportunity. I think no one wants to leave in these conditions and no one wants handouts, but people have to have the opportunity in order to take care of themselves. So making sure they get legal assistance so they can get their workers' authorizations, start working, understand the English language, and really make a life for themselves out here.
Yeah, I want to go back to Randall's Island for a second, right? Because I mentioned at the top that it was kind of full of conflict here. And was that a factor in the decision to close it? Because some might say, well, you're going to take them out, and the migrants who are there, and put them into other places, which might burden some of those locations. So was it a factor when it look at the encampments that were there, some of the violence that went on, some of the weapons, into closing it?
Well, again, those incidents were unfortunate, and we do understand that it's brought very much negative attention to Randall's Island. And again, this was a last resort situation. We didn't want to set up these large congregate shelters and tents, but we were just was receiving about 4,000 people a week at that point. And so we needed to do something to address that situation. Now with the numbers decreasing, we can move people into our regular system and get them closer to communities, which is really the key to integrating people into our neighborhoods so that they can find their own housing, work, and
getting that all done is important, yes. But where are we at with the work visas and getting people jobs? Because that seems to be the big factor on that they cannot work, and that's what is leading to some issues on the streets.
Exactly. This is what I've been saying since I was welcoming buses at Port Authority. Our federal system puts the responsibility on the individual to find housing, to find work, and other resources. Meanwhile, they don't allow them to work, which does not make sense. And this is why we're in the situation we're in. We're helping as many people possible, apply for asylum, apply for work permits, but it's a slow system. And we're doing everything possible to help people. Reality is that it's a very challenging and broken system. We need to fix it.
And Hussein, would you say that's probably the biggest problem that you have with the folks that you're
Yeah, I
working with?
think 1,000%. I'm hoping with the closing of shelters, more funding is diverted into programming that nonprofits can actually institute within communities, making sure we're able to increase our immigrants' rights workshop that we do alongside Moya, so that people also know their rights, and then we can refer them to legal services and make sure they're in that trajectory to get their workers authorization, because that is like the biggest issue. If you can't work, like you are dependent on the system. And talking to these people directly, it's like, I don't want to be dependent on the system. I do want to be independent.
Yeah. If it is such a slow process then, right? And I know there's got to be rules in place, but if you implement these 30, 60, 90-day rules where people can only come in and spend how do they then get that job or integrate into society quick enough when they're kind of getting booted out of the system?
Well, again, we implemented or we made these decisions because we were receiving so many people, and we needed breathing room to help those people that were coming
So could you
that were
change
most
the rules
vulnerable.
now that it's slowing down?
Well, we're looking at what to do, like closing Randall's is one step we're taking, and moving people closer to neighborhoods. But again, we'll see what happens in the next couple of months. We're hoping more action will be taken by the federal government. In the meantime, we're glad that we're able to turn a corner, return these facilities back to New Yorkers, and continue to integrate people. But one thing I'll say, we welcome tens of thousands of migrants each year in New York, historically. Most come into our neighborhoods, integrate, find housing, regardless of their immigration status. Because Hussein is right, people do not want to be dependent on the federal or on the government. They know what that might mean, and they want to contribute back to the city. I cannot say how important local organizations, institutions are to helping people integrate, which is why I'm glad I'm here with Hussein.
Yeah.
Commissioner Castro, Mr. Yatterberry, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you.